All right, guys, in this example, we are given graphs of lines and we have to come up with what are the slope and the intercept for each of the lines. And then once we get it, we're going to come up with the equation in slope-intercept form. So actually, it will be probably better to look at these equations by zooming. So you can see that on the right side, you can do the zooming thing, right? Bottom. And then you can tell where the line has the y-intercept. So remember, the y-intercept is where the line intersects with the y-axis. So in this case, this is going to be this point right here. So that means that b is equal to 5. Okay, so that's the y-intercept. So that's pretty easy. Now, in terms of the slope, in order to figure out the slope from the graph, you need 2 points generally that would have integer coordinates. So fraction is usually not desirable because you might get off a little bit, okay? So what I'm gonna do is find another point. This one already has an integer coordinate, right? Because this is really 0, 5 here, right? So this is 0, 5. So I already have 1 point, but I need one more point. So another point could be right here. I can see that that looks like it has integer coordinates. So that would be 1, 0, right? Because we're going 1 to the right and we're not going up or down. And then to get the slope, remember, is rise over run. So it's rise divided by run. And what's the rise? So imagine that you always start from left to right. So you're starting at the point 0, 5 because it has a smaller x coordinate. How do you get to 1, 0? Well, you're going to go down by 5, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 to the right. So that means your rise, well, it's really not rise, but fall, but whatever. It's going to be -5, and your run is 1. So then your slope is going to be -5 divided by 1, which is just -5. All right, and so now that we solve that, we're going to put slope is -5, y-intercept is 5. And then we want to form an equation, the slope-intercept equation. So what do we do? Well, instead of m, we substitute -5. X has to stay because X varies. X is, let's say, in the number of miles you drive your car to work or to some other place or whatever. X is different every day. So X has to stay X. And then plus the y-intercept, which is, let's say, 5. Okay, now let's take a look at this example right here. So here they want us to find the slope and the y-intercept first. So again, let's zoom in. And let's look at where we have our y-intercept. So that's where we have it right here. So this is really 0, -3, which tells you that your y-intercept is -3. And then you want to have the slope. So you already have one point that has integer coordinates, but we need to find one more, basically that is on the intersection of the grid lines, right? And so I can see that this point right here would satisfy that. So that if you start at the origin, to get to this point, you're going to go 3 to the right and 1 down. So the coordinates of it is going to be 3, -1. Okay? And now we want to find the slope. So the slope is rise over run. Start at the point that has a smaller x. So right here, this point right here. How do we get to the other point? Well, we can go 2 up, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3 to the right. So the run is 3. Okay? And then the rise, we said 2 up. So that would be 2. So that's our slope, 2 over 3. And it's positive. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and write that down. So the slope is 2/3, and the y-intercept is -3. Now, be careful how they want it. Sometimes they want it as a 0.0 -3, but it looks like in this case it just says reduced fraction or integer. So that means it just wants you to give the value. And now let's substitute into the equation. So first the slope, 2/3. Then the x, which again, that's the variable that changes. This is how much money, let's say you set your box of cereal to cost, okay? And it changes, plus b. Well, b here is -3. Now, when we add a negative, that's actually the same thing as subtraction, okay? So adding a negative or subtracting is the same thing. So you can actually get rid of that plus minus, and that would be the equation of your line.